Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk about diversity lottery visas. The reason being is it's almost time again for the diversity lottery, and there's a lot of people who are interested in moving forward. A lot of people don't know if they qualify, and so I thought we'd go over some of the rules, some of the requirements, some of the reasons for the diversity lottery, and from there, hopefully that'll answer a lot of your questions, so you'll know where, when you can apply and how to do it and so forth. Now, first of all, what is the diversity lottery? Why does it exist? Well, basically, the reason is that it allows for a issuance of a lot of different visas in order to make basically the United States a melting pot, to make it so that it brings in a bunch of different people from different parts of the world. Now, the thing is that it does not allow people to come in from countries that already have a high immigrant population within the United States. Meaning, for example, if you look at just the top ones, China, India, Philippines, Mexico, they're never going to qualify for a diversity visa lottery. They just won't. The basic rule is that if a country is in what's called a high admission region, what that means is that they have greater than 1/6 of all the visas issued, then the way that will work is they won't be eligible. Now, just so you know, again, most of the time is those countries that I've said, but it could vary. There might be some countries in the future that have more and so forth. Theoretically, there could be some that have less, but honestly, with China, India, the Philippines, and Mexico, there's not a chance that they're going to go below that. So if you are from one of those countries, you might want to tune out and listen to my E2 or one of my other hundreds of videos that I have on immigration law. But if you're in one of the low admission regions, and they come from Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, other than Mexico, Oceania, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean, those are countries that will allow you to apply for the diversity lottery. Now, there are 55,000 diversity lottery visas issued per year, and it's a good idea. You know how they say the United States is a melting pot of people from around the world? Well, to help that policy, they issue 55,000 of these visas from different parts of the world, so people can come to the United States from all different avenues of life. So if you have really no other way to immigrate to the U.S., or even if you have a way and it's going to take many years, you may as well try the diversity lottery. It doesn't hurt. Honestly, it's like, some people say, well, if I have a family petition or an employment petition, will it hurt to apply for the diversity lottery? And the answer is no. It's like two horses going around the track. The first one to the finish line wins. They could care less whether, one horse is the diversity lottery visa and the other horse is an employment visa. So whichever one you send it to, that'll be the one, hopefully, that wins. Now, at last count, I have read that there's about a 1 in 20 to 25 chance of winning, and honestly, that's a lot better than the lottery. So if you can do it, do it. There's a very short time window upon which the window opens to apply for it, and then you do what you have to do to apply, and then from there you wait to hear if you will win. Now, in order to apply, there's a couple things that you have to be aware of. First, you have to actually be a native of the country that you're applying. So let's say you're from Mexico, but you're living in Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland qualifies for the diversity lottery, but you coming from Mexico, for example, aren't going to qualify. You must be a native of that country that's applying. Next, there's not a terribly lot of qualifications for it, but of course, as far as education and or work experience, you either have to have a high school diploma or its equivalent, or within 5 years of applying for the diversity lottery, you have to have at least 2 years of work experience in an occupation that requires that type of work experience. So, you know, obviously if you're completely unemployed and have no education, unfortunately you're not going to qualify. But you know, if you know that you're going to be applying, just go get a GED, you know, an equivalent or equivalent of a high school diploma, because actually a GED itself is not equivalent to a high school diploma. So as far as defined under diversity lottery regulations. So, you know, just get those. They're not that difficult of items to have, and for the most part, the majority of people who apply for these will fall under one of those two categories anyways. Now, a way to think about this is you look at family members that qualify, and those will be the spouse and children under 21 who are single. All of those people can come along for the ride, basically. So if you win, then they all come along. Well, let's say that your spouse is the one who's educated and you're the one who's not. Then that means make it so your spouse applies for the diversity lottery, not you, because it's only the primary applicant that needs to meet the, you know, high school equivalency or working 2 years, you know, in the past 5 years in one of those positions. So if your spouse has those qualifications and you don't, then, you know, you can just go along for the ride after, but have your spouse submit the actual application. So that's how that will work. Now, just so you know, in the past there used to be people who would submit lots and lots of diversity lottery applications. They'd sit on the computer all day and click return, 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 and fill it out all the various time. Well, they've made a rule that if you submit more than one diversity lottery application, they all will be void. So they pretty much put a stop to that. So if basically you want to throw your application in the garbage, apply more than once. Otherwise, make sure that when you do apply, it's in the right time, you have everything you need, and so forth. There's so many people that apply around the world in a short time that, I mean, when you look at it, what they do is they throw out anything that doesn't have exactly what's needed. For example, I mean, this may seem small, but for example, let's say that you know, part of the requirement is you have a picture, okay, that has to be emailed, essentially, or submitted electronically with the application. And part of that is it has to be a 2 by 2 inch square, and you know, it has to have at least a resolution of 150 dots per inch. Well, and it has to have a maximum image size of 240 kilobytes. Well, let's say that you send one that has 250 kilobytes. Let's say it's just over that. Well, it's gone. The application's denied. There's no, you know, saying, oops, I didn't know, or it's almost 240. Why not just accept it? You know, things like you have to be directly facing the camera with no tilt up, down, or to the side. Let's say your head's tilting up. Well, boom, denied. So it's just these ways of kicking out all the ones that don't qualify initially before they actually pick the applicants. So let me give you the requirements just for the picture itself. You know, I mean, essentially, first you have to submit the petitions electronically, and anything not submitted electronically won't even be considered now. So you just go to http://dvlottery.state.gov, and it will have the application there. Now, an electronic confirmation will be sent upon receipt of the completed application. Now, with the picture, and honestly, some of this seems a little silly, but you have to comply with it because these are the rules. It has to be in JPEG format. It has to be color or gray scale. Keep in mind, monochrome images will not be accepted. The resolution has to be 600 pixels wide by 600 pixels high. Has to have a color depth of either a 24-bit color 8-bit color, 8-bit grayscale. And if it is scanned, as I said earlier, it must be 2 by 2 inches with a resolution of at least 150 dots per inch. Maximum image size, 240 kilobytes, and you must be directly facing the camera. The background for the photo should be neutral and light colored, and you cannot be wearing sunglasses or other paraphernalia in the picture. That's not acceptable. You cannot wear hats or head coverings unless for religious beliefs you have to wear those. But basically, that's how it will. That's for the picture. Okay, so honestly, that's probably the most difficult part of this application. So keep in mind, signatures are not required because they're electronically submitted. And what will happen is the applicants that are randomly selected, they will be notified, and those who are not selected, they won't be. You're not going to get a sorry, we accidentally, or we didn't pick you, try again next year. No, you'll get nothing. So only if you get something, basically, will it be good news. There's no fee to submit the diversity lottery application itself. Keep in mind, though, that once you would win, that doesn't mean you have the green card. Okay, once you win, then there is a time where you have to actually apply for the visa. You have to submit the necessary documentation to go in for you and your family, and that all has to be done within the end of the fiscal year. So time is running. If you win, you need to move on it quickly to win, because under no circumstances, if you submit the application late, and I'm not talking about the diversity visa application, because I'm saying you already won that. The application for consulate processing or adjustment of status, the visa for that winning diversity lottery application must be submitted within the end of the fiscal year, the diversity visa fiscal year. So if if it opens October 1st, that means by October 1st of the following year, you must have that visa issued. Now, there's another couple things. There's only 55,000 that are available and picked, but they actually approve about 100,000. So the question is why? Okay, why do they approve 100,000 random applications when they're only going to issue 55,000? Well, the answer is a lot of people aren't going to qualify because they don't either have the education or the work experience. Some aren't going to answer the approval. Some aren't going to apply in time, as I just stated, to get the visa. Some are going to be inadmissible for other reasons, such as criminal history, fraud history. They might have a deportation order. They might have a transferable medical condition. I mean, all these you might be able to apply for a waiver, but then you might not. And so that's all even the more reason that the moment you get that approval in your email, that is when you move on it right away to apply and to get the visa. Don't have a party and think about it for a couple weeks before you go forward and then decide you want to get an attorney and drag things out. If I were you, the moment you won, call immigration attorney, have them get the application prepared to show you qualified, number one, for the diversity lottery, do the consulate processing for you and your family, and get it out the door. Okay, so you, even though it says you won, you don't really win until you get the visa. So that's how it works. Notice that the applications are randomly selected. It's totally random, and so that's essentially the procedure of the diversity lottery visa. Again, the door's opening right around the corner. So if you would like a consultation on this, get more information, and especially, usually where my services come in is once you win, I get moving on it to get the application and everything out the door for the visa for you and your family. So just let me know. I'll be happy to help. More on the coming video.